Join us up here, please, so we can have a lot of more discussion things. And I don't really like the bus kind of population. Okay, so can you come a little bit down here? I know it's like my students, they're trying to go right on the back. It's like the bus kind of thing. Can I escape first? No, you cannot. Those people who stay, we've got nice wine, and it's a wonderful kind of thing. Thanks, a very nice Christmas. Christmas is coming. The power plugs are on as well. Good. Please help yourself. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Give them one out. Right. Can you give them? Okay, feedback forms have been given to you. Can you please fill them up? And Barbara, where's Barbara? Please try to sort out. Hello. Oh, cold coffee. Well, thank you very much. How well do you know me? Perfect. Yeah, Greek coffee. Okay. Our panel is John and Sarah. Then we've got. Jamie.
Adam.
Yes, we just went on the next line. Okay. We've got Paula. Where's Paula? Paula, would you like to join us up there? So we've got Christina. Christina, would you like to join us? Adam.
I'm here.
Adam is here. Perfect. Thank you. The other Adam Troman.
That's me.
Sorry, I had the that's right. The Adam Smith. Have we got Adam Smith from Duetto? All right, okay. And Giovanni. Giovanni is there. Come and join us up there so we can kind of... Some of you would like to do a presentation, some of you would do statements, right? Who has got presentations? Everybody has got a little presentation. Okay, that's fine. Okay, great. We're just on time, so John and Sarah are doing a joint presentation, I understand, yeah? Yeah. So this is the Bournemouth tourism, the public sector, and how you are dealing with smartness.
Yes. Okay.
Come and let us know.
Right. Now you've all had the theoretical concepts. You've all seen the benchmark, and now the reality sets in. What really happens, and where we go in terms of our journey. Right. So this is going to be more about how far we've got to go rather than where we are and what's triggered that. And that's the most important thing for us. I think we were talking about it at tea time, and we're sort of where the Wright brothers were in learning to fly compared we are with sort of fast jets. So Sarah and myself will just sort of... Sarah is actually representing the industry, tourism industry, and that's, I think, one of the most important things in any of these processes which you saw was the engagement of the industry and the support of the industry in change. So we're at that first step, and certainly in terms of making some fairly fundamental change, and we're still asking a lot of questions about where we're going to do it and how we're going to do it. So, if I can use this. First of all, just for those people who don't know much about sort of the quick stats, we are one of Britain's prospering seaside resorts, and as some of you know, a lot of seaside resorts around the UK are not. They're in decline, they're suffering quite badly. Our main competitor, probably in terms of prosperous resort, is Brighton. We have something like 5 million people coming to Bournemouth every year, drives just over around £600 million plus related turnover. We try and keep this portfolio mix, which is why we're prosperous. We have 3 sectors: leisure, which is obviously the biggest sector in terms of leisure tourism, business tourism, which is primarily around the conference and convention business, and also a very important industry, which is the educational tourism. Also probably generates as much turnover to Bournemouth as business does in terms of educational tourism, and that's from learning the language right the way through to people who are here today who are taking whatever higher education or further education qualification. That's all part of the educational tourism offer. Within Bournemouth, you're aware, we have the financial services industry, and also, which we can talk about later, is the growing digital, which is something that actually is an opportunity that we've seen. So our focus, the USP of the resort and the whole area is exceptional natural and built environment. The bay, everything that goes around it, our neighbours in Poole, New Forest and Purbex, and the whole offer and the seafront offer is where we're coming from.
I'd just like to introduce myself. I wear two hats. One is as an owner of two hotels in Bournemouth Town Centre. I employ 35 people, most of whom are at the bottom end of the skill set. And in moving towards digital destination as an employer, things could only get better in terms of smart. I need an opportunity to develop people. I think the world is moving on and we embrace that change. But I have to tell you, we might just be 2 miles from Bournemouth Town Centre where my 2 hotels are, but we're a million miles, and the conversations that we've been having today, it's fascinating. But you really ought to come and have a look at the real world where we are today. This is a long journey we're making. It's fascinating, it's exciting, but we have a long way to go. So meanwhile, back in the real world, it's very exciting. I'd just like to say what we do. I'm the chair of the Bournemouth Tourism Marketing Group, and what we do is bring together representatives of all the trade sectors that are important in Bournemouth. So hoteliers, restaurants, attractions, shops, transport, all the trade sectors that make Bournemouth what it is. And we have a vibrant business economy, but we work very closely with the tourism team to move forward. They need us because we demand of them, sometimes we help them, but we really need them because they are experts in their field, and working with the university, they drag us all forward. So it's a really exciting partnership.
Okay, so the focus of the presentation today is we're looking at how we're starting to make change on that. Once the visitor has made the commitment, it's pre-preparation, pre-planning, and then the resource support. So our focus is in there today in terms of the presentation. So our current approach, and we'll talk about it this afternoon, is it's reactive. Everything we do, we rely on the visitor to seek information. Very little of what we do in most destinations, I would argue, in the UK does very much sort of proactive, going out and actually telling people, being responsive, all those things we were talking about before when it was talking about how we customise to understand them and then give them the information they want at the time they want it. So we have a website, TIC, hotels giving out information on a one-to-one basis, as conference organisers, education establishments like the language schools and others are giving out information in the traditional method. I think, and I might be challenged, there's not a lot of really focused information that they can send to people's smartphones about what they can do and what day and where they can go. That doesn't really happen, in my opinion. I'm sure I'll be challenged on that. So in terms of our beginning of our smart journey, so our smart journey started about 2 years ago, actually because we had to close the Tourism Information Centre because basically the lease had run out. And so the big headline was, oh my gosh, TIC is closing, Bournemouth is going to be a premier resort, what are we going to do, where are we going to go? And that really sums up the culture of most, I think, destinations around the UK. Is those seaside provincial destinations, we're still very much locked into that. So we took that opportunity in terms of looking, the whole focus is around where was the TIC going to be based, where was the Tourism Information Centre going to be relocated, what was it going to be, was it going to be futuristic? And we said, actually, this is the opportunity to look at options for the future. So our process today has been council-led through the traditional processes of task and finish groups, but the most important thing is that we need to take other people and engage other people. And what we thought was important, and it's part of the process that we've started, is we've got to start changing people's thinking about the approach that we have, and that starts with the industry. So perhaps Sarah can just talk a minute about that.
Bournemouth's always had a very good defined view of its target market, and it's mainly UK, and in the leisure sector, it's people who live within 2 or 3 hours of Bournemouth. And we've seen the trend from the 1 week holiday that people used to have post-war when they come away with the family, when the factory closed down and come on holiday. And in the last decade or so, they've moved to Bournemouth being one of the holidays they have during the year, perhaps a short break, perhaps a long weekend, perhaps a multi-generation group, an opportunity to get all the families together. It's not necessarily their main holiday. And above all, people want to know what they're going to do when they get here. They're not likely, these days, people don't just pitch up and commit to a whole week. They want to know what it's going to be like. They do their own research, we know that. They look at TripAdvisor, they're looking for trusted sources. They want to know that someone else in their family or their friendship group has been there and recommended it. But as hotels and as businesses, we need to market for the experiences that they're going to have. We totally support the work that the council have done in events, festivals. We had a big rethink of the strategy a couple of years ago when the council was saying to the trade, so what do you want to do then? Because there's not enough money to do everything you'd like to do. And we said, we're totally behind events and festivals. We think we have to give people a reason to come to Bournemouth, and then everything else will fall into place. If they come to Bournemouth, then we can sell ourselves for the rest of the time. The other thing for Bournemouth is we need a vibrant business economy all year round. So we cannot, as trade, survive on just a busy 6 months in the summer. With the recession that we've had the last few years, we've all got big mortgages, we're all struggling to make ends meet. We have to be able to survive 12 months of the year and be successful. And so the strategy of Bournemouth fits with the strategy of trade.
Okay. So I can say, so we took stakeholders' views about the resource and the need for a TIC, which still was the focus. You've got that still, you'd be amazed. So there's that traditional learning-led observation. We took that opportunity to change views. One of the things we did was we involved the university in that change process, which Dimitrios was actually very central of. Was we brought people in, counsellors, people from traditional B&Bs, into a session where they all sat down thinking, I'm not going to understand this, this is not for me. Through that session, we started to change those perceptions about what smart destinations were. And the person who was the chair of the review group was probably the person who had the most entrenched views about it was all about TIC, Tourism Information Centre. Actually, by the end of these sessions, started to realise actually it's much more than that. And that was important for us. So we are focusing on those things. What we have to do is start thinking about in terms of how we go forward with this and contextualise this for Bournemouth. Just in terms of those outcomes, I'm going to accelerate right the way through because we've got a number of speakers. We actually ended up with the sort of things that we need to consider. So if we go through those changing mindsets and managing transformation, that's our future. We have to consider about the emphasis that we talked about technological needs, proactive and preemptive information with less need to seek it out. That's a massive vision. Big thing, and I'm going to say it, it's great, all these ideas, all these applications, but we need to have an infrastructure that supports it. And I have to say, I know there's some great work that's been going on with Adam, and some of the work he's done that's just the start. We need infrastructure that can support right the way through the whole town, Wi-Fi and 4G and 5G, and particularly even when it gets busy. I mean, one of the biggest things, as everybody knows who comes here, is if you go to the air festival, by the Thursday, by about 2 o'clock, everything just collapses. So all this information, all this research, all these great technologies, all this is wonderful, but everybody sits there and goes, I can't do it, it's no good. So it's lost. And that's the biggest challenge for us is infrastructure. Biggest challenge is to get the infrastructure that meets the needs of the destination.
How many people are going to the air festival? Because a lot of people don't.
Last year, on the Saturday, we had an estimated 440,000 people in this destination over 10 hours. And the system completely and utterly collapsed. And how you deal with there are ways you can deal with it at quite a high cost. But those types of things. So there's that whole build towards general infrastructure, and there's great strides being made, superb work being done with laying it out, but it's going down the gardens, the seafront, but it's got to be comprehensive, and we've got to find ways of doing that. So that's the sort of things, those foundations. There's no point us We can develop technologies, but we have to have the infrastructure, and it is being addressed, and it is there. So that's the key for us. Hard copy is still required. Just Sarah, briefly about hard copy, how important that is.
You're all young and with it in here. But the rest of the world is still lagging behind. We do the research, they still want magazines. Why is WH Smith still selling magazines? People do still flick through them, and they say to us that they still want magazines, they still want the brochures. We keep thinking, is this the last year we'll ever do the brochures? And no, we still get a huge amount of demand. 75,000 of those we demanded this year, and for the last 2 years we've had a print run, more printed. It's frustrating because it's expensive. Nowadays it's more expensive to post than it is to actually print, and it is very frustrating. It's quite a long way from the co-creation, whatever she is. It really is. It's us sending brochures and people making a decision about what they're going to do. We have a long way to go.
Sorry, that research you were talking about, what's the demography? What range of age you're talking about?
Well, obviously the more mature are still choosing those, but actually even the younger ones are the sort of family market. Bournemouth has defined it.
Language schools. Language schools. Still a number of people from language schools come down, go to TIC, pick up all the information. So you think as young people, it's not, they get the map, okay? They get the limited guide, they come down and the numbers, we send it out to the language schools. So this perception is that, everything's all about co-creation. It may be at times, it may be in certain destinations, it may be with experiences. Maybe the experience that you want in a city destination means there's a requirement for the better use of people in that environment to use that type of technology. Maybe in our environment, it applies at certain times, but not all the time. So it's not just about older people getting information. Conversely, it's not just about older people using that information. I think you have to understand that as well. They do want the traditional. Same with the festivals. They want souvenir programs. They can get it all on the website, and they do, and a lot of people do. But they also want stuff that they can just sit there while they're enjoying their experience and read. And that's what we forget. It's information, but it's also that extra value which they can just refer to while they're here. So it's just we're saying get this balance right, contextualise it. Don't always assume. No, understand your customer in that time. Just on the cultural shift, obviously new skills and approaches across all generations. We recognise that actually people who are mature are using it as much as anybody else. It's right the way through, and it's growing and growing and growing. So recognise that and getting the balance right. So our approach, we've got to still meet traditional resort information needs. We have a TLC on the seafront. I was in there this morning, still heavily used, but very seasonal and very location specific. So we're looking at pop-up units at specific times when people want it. So we're identifying those needs. The same way you do anything else, you say, well, we don't need as much as it, much of that type of operation, but we do need it. Development of the local concept, which is very specific. We get shop owners who have said to us, you know what, we get a huge amount of people who come into us, our shop, because it's a particular point, a travel point. One is Kath Kitson, who actually says, because of our location point, people come into us and they ask for directions and things like that. So you've got to really understand the full understanding of the information based on your location, based on the flows of people in the destination when you're going through the in-resort side of things. There are certain times we need to understand that. About further working with trade partners, just a quick one on that one.
The trade are desperate to make this work. We want to have a thriving business community, and the issue that everybody has is getting behind it. One of the things we have in Bournemouth is we don't have enough money to spend on marketing, and there are some very successful companies out there, so we need to find a way of hooking them in, support what we're doing, putting some money on the table. And there are some internal issues around how we package up the sort of things that we can sell to them. But there's also a whole lot of technology that these guys have that we could go to customer communities or to working with partners to say, we can access this, we can package up things, we can customise offers to particular people. There's loads of scope, but we haven't actually got to that yet. Something with appetite for revenue generation, sponsorship, customisation with technology is the key.
And very quickly, the other side, the other traditional, which we just invested, we need probably £500,000 of wayfinding in the town, which is not e-based, but actually is very fundamentally required. Because people need to show that they use it. I mean, we watch them use it. They don't get it. Some people will just use their smartphone and they're happy and they just follow it. But a large majority of people like to go up to something and have a look at it and see where they are and locate them. So again, it's that you've got to remember there's still that requirement and that need, and understanding your customer base and trying to react to it. So we don't forget that. Moving forward, we've got to focus on resources. Where we best target the coastal bids, there are other deliverers who are coming in and supporting in terms of marketing activities. We used to be the key funder, we're not anymore, that's changed. The trust structure we've talked about, the intelligence gathering, and we know the current information. One of the things we talked about this afternoon was the existing Wi-Fi network we've got has a huge amount of data, and we're going to be starting looking at data to understand trends and how we can exploit that more. We've got the exploring proactive messaging, how to begin to get things that work for us. Obviously, what we have done is we want to learn from the university research. This workshop is part of the process. We organised this because we wanted to learn. So this was created with Dimitrios because we're saying, what are we going to understand? We've got the joint research project that helps us understand and other destinations understand. And we've got to monitorise it as well, which I think we've talked about this afternoon. So, basically, the challenge for us is to become more proactive and preemptive, and we need to look at what we've talked about, is that collective approach with partners and with our stakeholders. And if you were looking at something here, currently, reactive reliance on visitors to seek information, that's probably quite generous. In 2015 it's 80%, probably nearer 95%. And by 2020 we'd like that term in certain markets to be changed. And we do have the opportunities, we do have a growing digital sector, and we need to actually engage that digital sector more to help us in terms of what we're doing. So the opportunities for us to do that help us develop those technologies and then helping us foundations.
And the only thing I would leave you with is don't forget there's people out there and we're all different. And we're all awkward, and we're all having a good day or a bad day, and our circumstances change depending on our situation. And as I can tell you, I can't be the same every day to every person. I've got to be sensitive, and all this technology's got to help us. But at the end of the day, we have to take the people with us, because they are the bit that makes the difference. And that is the challenge. So don't forget the people involved in this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are IFITTtalk from the industry and how it's employing on that. And it's very interesting, this proactive and preemptive, because what's going to happen is that technology and information is going to find us. We're not going to look for information. This is sort of what Cedric was saying and what we're saying happening. Jay, would you like to come along and show us some of the power of the public? Some of the digital platforms that you're developing around the world. Would you like to introduce yourself a little bit better and say some of the activities that you're doing?
To John and 1 second.
Yeah. While Francis is developing that. Have you got any questions for John and for Sarah?
I've got a question.
Go on then.
What are we going to do about the chewing gum problem in Bournemouth Square?
Is this a digital question?
This is a real question, because you walk down Old Christchurch Road, right? You just look on the beautifully expensive pavement, the amount of chewing gum that is deposited.
Chewing gum.
$64 million question. The most important thing to do is to try and there's an educational issue. There's a lot of people who try to deal with it. It's difficult. We have to clean it up wherever we can. And there is not a great deal in terms of enforcement as part of the EI, but I know that the council continually tries to have tried different methods over the period. It probably means individuals actually trying to not limit it, but stop it. But it's a difficult problem. If I'm on it, I can't give you an answer to it. It is part of our society, unfortunately, that doesn't seem to take responsibility. He just thinks it
can develop an app.
We can develop an app. Various people have tried enforcement. That doesn't really work. It just causes headlines. It's a difficult problem. I'm not going to. I mean, as a marketeer, I don't deal with that side of things, but certainly I know that it's a continual headache. And if people have got innovative ideas, which doesn't mean popping somebody on the head, which is a sort of normal thing or whatever. If there is a way that we can do it, I mean, you remember they used to try the targets, they hadn't worked, and there's various different bits.
I was watching television another day. There was an old lady in a place somewhere that she was going around and she was putting everybody into order. Whoever was dropping a cigarette butt down, they were just calling it.
There's a bigger problem than that in most of these destinations, which you never see, is the amount of rubbish that left on the beach at the end of a sunny day. And that's a much bigger problem than chewing gum, and that's about education.
The reason why I asked that question was because I've been a long time Bournemouth resident. The amount of money that Bournemouth invested in keeping the beach clean and tidy, and the army of cleaners who descended on the beach to clean away the rubbish.
Let's go into smartness because we're running out of time.
Now, can we keep to 10 minutes?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So we've got a few colleagues here, and I'd like to have a conversation.
Good afternoon. My name is James Sargent, and I work for a company called Crowd. I'm going to take it a little bit out of Bournemouth. We work for local clients. Our headquarters is in Bournemouth, but we also have offices in San Francisco, Dubai, and London. So I'm going to talk about a couple of the recent projects. I think I just skipped the projects. So yes, we're a creative communications agency. We've pretty much with social at heart. So today we took tourism. I think a lot of what I've heard so far, and a lot of what we do, is sort of deeply rooted in social media. So we use social media as a really big channel to help market destinations. St Helena, you probably won't know, this is a project in Napa Valley. So St Helena is basically Napa Valley. I don't know if any of you know Napa Valley in Northern California, but it's one of the most high-end cities in Napa Valley. And for them, what we do is pretty much everything. So all of their comms, internal comms, all of their design, content, social, strategy, and online advertising. It's sort of, I'm not going to talk you through the websites because we haven't got time, or indeed all of the strategies, but I think from my perspective, it's really just talking you through a little bit of the projects that we do and then taking some questions.
Now let's go into the smartness bit of this, yeah?
Yeah.
Where do you add value? Otherwise it's your company and what it does. Let's go into
where we add value is, I think, taking a different perspective. So we get to learn the destination work. So in this particular instance, St Helena, their big issue is the residents, because none of the residents actually want St Helena to grow. It's Napa Valley's main street is their tagline, and to buy a property in St Helena is sort of upwards of £2-3 million or dollars rather. So what we've been looking at is how we can best market them as a resort that doesn't involve lots of people moving there, or indeed sort of further hotels. So maximising what they've got and extracting sort of the best value for St Helena. Lake County is another Northern Californian county based around a lake. It's kind of in the logo, and for them this is a recent project that we've done, and really the challenges that we found with Lake County are the infrastructure. So we can market a destination to be absolutely amazing, and we've really turned around the perception. And the way that we've done this is to take what they have to offer and build experiences. So much like was said earlier on, we see a massive shift in tourism marketing based around experiences. There's two reasons for this. One of them is you cannot, with people like Expedia, Last Minute, and all of the large aggregators, it's really difficult to price check an experience. So for a lot of our clients, what we're finding is to build in experiences that you can then extract further value from. And a lot of that as well is based on the sort of attitude now where certainly when I was growing up, when you would go to a destination, it was you would get the waiter to take a picture of you and your family, and then you'd go back, print out all those pictures. Now, it's not good enough. You need to be, you need to be in a beautiful scene, and you need to hashtag it. So it's really working off of this sort of egotistical social media sort of stream that we found some really great results. So you can also then get genuine content from the people that are having a great time in these destinations. And it's authentic, it's not a brochure, it's user generated. So again, for Lake County, what we've done is pretty much the same as St. Helena. The next one is, we've recently finished a project for Chile, and the brief for this was to basically get people there in the winter. And when I spoke to the Chilean Tourism Board, I said, okay, so tell me what you've got in winter, and they said, well, it's more than likely going to be raining and quite cold. So we had quite a challenge on our hands to try and get people to fly from the UK. It's an 18-hour journey to Chile. So again, what we did there was turn that into an experience-based thing and start to look at what you could do in Chile in those months that you possibly couldn't do anywhere else. So I wasn't aware before we did this campaign that you can go skiing in August. So we focused the marketing effort on some of these more creative ways of getting people to visit a destination in the off months. And for all the work that we've been doing, destination marketing, that seems to be the biggest challenge that most destinations have, and certainly sort of brought up earlier on, of how do we get people there year round? So what we've been doing is developing a number of experiences and combining things. So one of the other key things for Chile is stargazing. So what we've done is created, and they've also, as probably most people know, they also do some drinking wine. So we've created experiences that have involved sitting underneath the stars and drinking some nice Chilean wine. And for this, again, heavily focused on social. That's our best results so far. Online advertising and pushing it out through all of the major channels. There was a print element to this campaign as well that went out in the Learning Planet magazine. But where we certainly see most of the results currently with travel is through social. So hopefully that's your 10 minutes.
Thank you very much.
And anybody got any questions based around that? Get that. Brilliant.
Very good.
Thank you.
Which social channels
Oh,
are you
can
finding?
you sit down?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Which social channels are you finding to be most useful for promoting?
For promoting destinations, we
Yeah.
find Instagram's brilliant because you can apply so many filters that you can make almost anywhere look great. And
Is that a good thing?
pardon?
Is that a good thing?
Well,
Making anywhere
people
look
won't put stuff online that looks bad. I would say that
When they get there, it is.
No. What we tend to see is they then apply the same filters. So Instagram's really great. We're finding massive results through video on Facebook. So Facebook recently introduced their video feeds. So as you scroll down, we're getting some amazing results through that. With some of the Chilean stuff as well, but where we split it into the experiences such as like trekking and horse riding and things like that, we can then really target those niche audiences or with PPC and banner advertising as well. So, but Facebook's always a big one for travel, and I think most people have probably been inspired by something they've seen on Facebook in regards to travel. Their friends have been there. So the major ones currently are Instagram and Facebook for these campaigns.
Thank you very much. Thank you. With no delay, let's move to Paola Consi, who is going to show us how TripAdvisor is harnessing the power of the public and what TripAdvisor is doing. And I'm sure that there will be a lot of discussion afterward.
Good afternoon, all. I'm Paola, not just in read as you're on the program. My manager is like on a last-minute trip to Vietnam. So I'm here with you today, just to explain you how we can basically take advantage of the public and all the data that TripAdvisor has. So maybe you can like us, maybe you can hate us, but unfortunately we are really big. So, and hopefully we're gonna stay big. So I'm gonna give you just some data on TripAdvisor. So we are a big family, I call it like that. We cover 45 domains, and we have all our content in 26 languages. Based on some Google Analytics data on Q1 2015, we hit 340 million unique monthly visitors, and that means that we have more than 139 contributions every minute. So we have 225 million reviews and opinions live on our website. Something that I'm really happy to share with you is actually that we have an average rating of global reviews that is like 4 out of 5. So maybe at the beginning, a few years ago, TripAdvisor was seen as a website where to go and complain about things, about hotels, about restaurants. It's not like that anymore. People are actually there to share their experiences and actually to promote. Could be a hotel, could be a destination, and it's something that we have to definitely take into considerations. So I basically realized that there are 3 players or 3 beneficiaries in this in this world. And first is the user. The user could be like a local traveler or could be an international traveler. We have the owners, that could be a hotel, a hotelier, a restaurant owners, and an attraction owner, and we also have the destinations. So tourist board or DMOs. So when we talk about users, basically we know that things have changed, so that people trust the power of the crowd. Basically we have stats that says that now hotel online reviews are actually more important than personal recommendations. So we definitely have to take this into consideration. But the only thing is that a crowded one is not a crowd. That means that now everyone tends to have user-generated content. That is totally fine. But when it comes to a user experience, we have to make sure that we are not talking about one single review. So in this specific case, it was like a review about an experience on a specific attraction. We have 100% of likes basically, but it's just one like. While if we can look at the same attraction on TripAdvisor, the user can basically have the chance to look at 70 reviews and then from there take what they want to take. When it comes to owners, we know that there are bad reviews on TripAdvisor, but a bad review is not wrong. It's just the customer research. So when we talk to owners, to a hotelier owners or to a restaurant owner, we have to we try to tell them that you need to be on TripAdvisor, but you need to own your own business on TripAdvisor and use it for your own benefit, basically. So we have lots of tools. We have a special section on our website that is called TripAdvisor.com Owners. So where you can find your business, you can basically own your listing, and from there you can basically track all the traffic that you have from the different users, all the reviews that you can receive. And what we really suggest is actually to engage with the guests and with the reviews that you're receiving. So those tools are totally free. We know that not all the owners knows about this, and we are trying to basically push these free tools for the benefits of the owners. So we, as I said, like we just try to push the idea of like be visible on about you on TripAdvisor online, but also offline. So everyone can be creative on how to get reviews on TripAdvisor. When it comes to destinations, so I know that this statement, like national and regional tourism websites, play a little part in this decision-making process. I know it could sound a bit harsh, but the idea behind is this one. So this is a story that I got from Justin, my manager. It was like he used to work for Visit Britain. So we have like here like some graph that shows the traffic of the Visit Britain website over from 2013 to 2009. So we can see there was like an healthy growth there. But compared to what there are other players in the market, even in 2009, you could easily see how the Visit Britain website is not really there with Expedia or with TripAdvisor. And if we look at the same picture but in 2014, you could actually see how TripAdvisor is basically taking over the whole market. So even if we are like seeing lots of changes, there are some things that they are still more or less the same. And I don't know if Cedric is still here, but I'm sorry about this, but basically we can say that everything starts in the same place, and it's Google. So everyone Googles every day for everything. So you Google for like a washing machine, you Google for if you would like to go out for dinner, you Google if you would like to buy a new pair of shoes. So the idea behind is that we try to work or to have the first Google rule that is basically focus on the user and all else will follow. And we try to basically be always the first one on the search on the result page. So if you think of some research that you can do on Google, like a traveler that is like at the top of the funnel, so it doesn't have like a real clue of what he wants to do. But if he Googles like best adventure holidays in Europe, you could see that we are in the first position. If the traveler is like he wants to do something in England, again TripAdvisor is first, and you can see that Visit Britain is the second one, is the second result. And if you think of where to go for dinner in Bournemouth, again TripAdvisor is first. So this is just the idea of like where basically the users are. So it's just to drive traffic where basically the demand is there.
Do you pay Google? Do you pay Google?
No. We have our team of like, they are investing lots of time and resources on
search engine.
Yeah, search engine. This is basically the result. So kind of end of the story is like if you we talk about like a lot of other social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest. So we have some stats that says that basically if a user comes from TripAdvisor and goes to the destination website, is actually you can see much higher stats than from Facebook or Twitter. So a normal user can spend more than 5 minutes on the destination website, and he can basically he browse through more than 4.5 pages, rather than from Facebook or Twitter we have maybe a bigger quantity, so a bigger number of like users that are coming through the destination website, but like quality-wise is not like as important as from TripAdvisor. So the idea behind is just to basically work together, because we can get traffic, but we can drive you traffic again. So it depends on the objective that your campaign or in general your work has, and we can definitely work together. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Questions for Paul?
Say quickly, actually, TripAdvisor is doing an enormous job in big data. It's a definition of big data. We are doing a lot of research based on TripAdvisor data. We're looking into reviews, we're looking into forums, we're looking into a lot of things. And actually, it's the cheapest and easiest way of doing research on a destination. It's really looking to live data on TripAdvisor. What I find, though, is increasingly people find that they're not going to go back home and write a TripAdvisor review. They either do it on the spot, or quite often they use other media to complain or to congratulate. They use Twitter, they use Facebook. They are much more responsive and dynamic and real time. And I think that you may actually consider that, because that may create a new opportunity to integrate things. But this big data and how we analyze TripAdvisor data is very interesting. Our next speaker is my friend Tony, who is coming from the New Forest. And for those people who know Tony, he's passionate and he can speak for a while. Welcome, please.
Thank you very much.
How is the New Forest becoming clever and smart, and the ponies?
Thank you very much. First of all, one of the things that I am is representing a very small destination. And Dimitrios has asked me to talk about the very small businesses and what we've been doing to try and get them to engage in the world that you've been discussing today. And that's very hard for a lot of small businesses, because the vast majority of the tourism industry worldwide is made up of very, very small and micro businesses, 1, 2, 3 people, and they're busy doing their business. So to engage in understanding how they can make more of the digital opportunities ahead of them is a major issue. And as Dimitrios says, my name is Anthony Kimpson. I've been the destination manager at the New Forest for nearly 30 years. And one of the things that I would say about the New Forest is not only is it a wonderful place, but it's been the graveyard of my ambition, because once you find Nirvana, it's a great idea to stay there. And I was old enough when I got there to realise what the rest of the world looked like. So I've been very lucky. Our general principle has always been the one you've been discussing, which is about interoperability and interrelationships. And we developed an idea called co-opetition many years ago, which is everything is joined up. Therefore, if you want to do anything joined up, the best thing is to recognise it and work together. And that perhaps in terms of the New Forest, individual hotels were not each other's competition, the rest of the world was their competition, so it would be a good idea to work together in the spirit of co-opetition. And in that sense, we've been operating under the idea of the crowd for about 30 years, and all of our marketing is crowd marketing in the sense that that crowd is working together to express themselves in the world's marketplace. And as we've just heard from Paolo, it is an amazingly large marketplace, and it's changing by the minute, and there are some incredibly large players. So I want to cover 2 quick things in 9-10 minutes. I've got a pal over there who's going to vibe me out at 9 minutes. So I get that last minute to say those things I've completely forgotten to mention, which I think are important. So, public and private. We've heard from John about Bournemouth Council. We've always worked on public and private. No one can do the thing, we all have to do it together. We've also worked very much on creating itineraries and pushing itineraries out and trying to get the complete district experience expressed in all of our marketing. And we had a thing called My Perfect New Forest Day, which is a Facebook app about 5 years ago, which was a complete failure because we didn't really understand what we were doing, but we learned a lot from it. And therefore the idea of pushing out information about the complete experience is something we persist with, and we're doing that at the moment. The other thing is understanding about the visitor economy, really, and the fact that it's a sharing economy, always has been, always will be. And also that the visitor economy is only a small part of the wider economy, and for too long tourism lives in this weird world of being separate from everything else. We've tried to change that in the New Forest. So fundamentally we recognise tourism as being very much about the visitor, the environment where it all takes place, the place, The resident who lives there, who hates tourists usually, people who live in tourism destinations hate visitors, it's perfectly natural. Don't get upset about it, it's just the way it is. I don't go down to Bournemouth Beach, I'm a Bournemouth resident because it's full of bloody tourists.
We like the tourism.
We love tourism, I love tourism, but as a resident I don't. And the point I'm making is, just as we were talking about being in different places when the marketing experience is, as a resident you're in different places. Host as visitor, visitor as host. I go on holiday and I expect the people I go and visit to be nice to me. However, the truth is they don't really like you, they want you to go away. And we just need to understand that.
Send the money in the brown envelope. That's the best.
Basically, it's understanding how to bring those things together. Visitor, environment, resident business. And we're here, or I'm here at least, to talk about small business and how you engage them in this complex process when they're predominantly frightened of the big wide world and are busy desperately trying to do their little bit. And we discovered a thing a number of years ago, really pinching innovation. I believe is all about stealing all of the ideas that work for other people and making them your own. So we looked at the Tesco Club Card and we thought we're going to create our own, and we came up with a thing called the do I have a clicker? Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you very much. We came up with a thing called the Brand New Forest Card. A clever play on words, B, just a piece of plastic, and C, something that allowed people, local businesses, only local businesses can play, to provide offers to the people that possess the card. We flog the card annually, it costs £5, and during that time you use that card and get rewards, special offers, and at the moment there are 300 offers, all local businesses, and there are about 8,000 cards from 2015 that have been sold so far, and that's growing. We thought that basically that's a really good idea, but one of the problems in the new forest is we've got ridiculous broadband, so we created an app, because you can download that, you don't have to worry about signals. And that basically was, up until now, just a very, very simple list of offers in the same way that the publication is. And I've got 3 minutes. And one of the things that I was going to do was to just simply show you the offers leaflet. And the reason I'm going on about this thing is that paper does play a part, but ultimately we are actually going to get to a place where digital is a thing. So, with no further ado, I'm going to move on to the next slide. Dimitrios, you see, he got me sidetracked on this emotional thing about visitors. That's basically the app. You get offers and rewards, and now we've got a whole loyalty point system which allows us to track interaction with visitors. It allows businesses to understand their customers. It also allows us to understand that, and if you reward loyalty and provide people with special things, you get a better understanding. With a better understanding, you spend more money and enjoy a place better. And if you litter it with key messages, you can also adopt behaviour change. But just before I finish, I also want to cover something else, which is absolutely about small business and smarting small business, and it's the idea of trying to find a place in the world dominated by TripAdvisor and all these other big players. And by the way, I'd love to talk to you about destinations. The most important thing is that one of the things that's been missing in English tourism and indeed tourism in the rest of the world is any relationship between destinations. My residents are someone else's customers. In England, the vast majority of tourism is domestic. If all of the destinations in England could just put down their little squabbles and work together, my residents are someone else's visitors, someone else's residents are my visitors. So we've created a thing called Fair Booking to try and create a network of destinations who use the fair trade coffee idea that if you spend money as a consumer, you don't really want to be giving it to TripAdvisor, they've got far too much money already. What you really need to be doing is giving it to the people that produce the experience, and if you can say that you guarantee the price is as good and is no cheaper anywhere else online, you have a proposition. The big problem is undertaking that proposition in a way that doesn't become an adversarial game with the TripAdvisors and Expedias and Booking.coms. So, Fair Booking is a network of destinations work together to provide great experiences. And there are some of the key messages. Book direct, guaranteed best price, compare nationwide, add value. We give away a brand new forest card, or should I say you get use of a brand new forest card if you book a Fair Booking New Forest holiday. And that is also about using crowd marketing techniques to promote the Fair Booking story worldwide. The French are doing it quite well, we need to keep up, and fairbooking.uk.com will do that.
What's MVG?
Sorry?
What's MVG?
NVG is New Vision Group. Who was that?
Me.
Okay. Yeah, they are the people who provide the platform, and they're doing it free of charge because we're poor, because we're small destinations with no real income. And NVG have provided the platform. New Forest, Cumbria, and Cornwall as destinations have created the impetus. We've now got various Welsh destinations, and slowly but surely, it takes courage for destinations to break away from traditions and doing things in traditional ways, and slowly people are joining us. But it is a learning experience, or a learning journey, I think you were saying earlier. And then finally, capitalising on local strengths. The other great thing is, however big these big world players are, the one thing they can't do is provide a local experience and connect up all of the bits that make a great local experience. So one of the propositions I'd certainly like to talk to Paolo about is how we can integrate our incredible intimate knowledge of the local destination with their global reach and create something which is fair and equitable for all. Thank you very much.
Can I have a microphone?
Any questions for Tony?
By the way, I'm happy if anyone wants them afterwards, because I know you're all shy at the moment.
Great. Now, we are moving to two colleagues, Christina and Adam Smith, who are going to bring a hospitality perspective. Yeah? Christina is going to talk about smart hospitality data and revenue management, and she's going to explain to us how you can make more money as a hotelier. So we are going a little bit away from the public sector macro level to the micro level, but it's actually the micro level that is that can enable the maximizing the economic impact within the destination. Christine.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here. My name is Christina Blah, and I do project consultancy for IFITT, which stands for Electronic Revenue Maximization. IFITT is basically a company that connects the hotels with the consumers across a wide network of connected channels, and it helps them understand the marketplace, who are their competitors, what's the opinion of the guest, so social media reviews. TripAdvisor is one of our channels. And lately the focus has been around how hoteliers can actually leverage a lot of their own business intelligence and analytics to drive them a little bit more revenue, if not more. So what happens today, we get a lot more data and less time to actually analyze this. And we're dealing with a consumer that has been particularly affected by the digital revolution and has technology infused into the DNA. So for hotels, it's quite difficult to cope with this. It's been a challenge. And how can actually hotels deal with this challenge is really to understand a little bit more of the data that's feeding into the organisation and take the exercise to analyse it. There's so much data, and if you don't actually have the time to go through it, you're reaching the risk of information paralysis. So consumers tend to, obviously their dream is to obtain the best brand experience as possible, and for hotels, in order to get there, they need to understand it's not just about having a nice website, it's about creating an experience that a lot of the major players out there are trying to do, like TripAdvisor, for example, and a lot of the other OTAs, and shifting a little bit of the share from their end over to the brand.com. So we're dealing with big data. We heard a little bit of big data today. We talked a lot about big data within our hospitality sector. Everybody tends to say they have it and use it. Predictive analytics and big data is particularly a hot topic at the moment. It's really the amount of data that's sitting within the organisation, and that data is coming from an area of sources, and hotels tend to use a big amount of tools to be able to manage the day-to-day operation. Everything from using the channel manager. Anybody knows what a channel manager is? Okay. We have Dimitrios knows what a channel manager is. Fantastic. So if a hotel is trying to distribute rates inventory, basically be advertised online on a website like TripAdvisor or Booking.com or Expedia or any other of the big OTAs out there, they would need to channel that information through a bit of technology. So channel management basically helps them distribute it in real time. Channel management is one of the sources of data. Reservations coming through channel management, but also review tools that will help hotels understand the feedback from consumers, price intelligence tools and market share tools that will help them understand the trends in the market and their competitors better. So for hotels, it's very difficult to take in all this data. It is important for them to use technology. Technology that can aggregate it and can actually project actionable facts. So hotels can start working by exception or managing their properties by exception, meaning they react to data that's feeding their way. Instead of them sifting through thousands and hundreds of thousands of data that's feeding to the organization, there is today technology to help them deal with this. So this slide very briefly, what it tells us is a bit of the journey from a customer pledges path, and the actual perspective, it is the hotel's perspective. So according to some of the latest Google research, we have a number of channels within the actual marketing and a number of channels that basically have different type of interactions and bring different values within a hotel's journey to actually market the destination, market their products. Some channels would probably assist more as an assisting interaction, that is build brand awareness, whilst others will work further downstream to basically convert the business. So from a hotel's perspective, it's important to understand the journey from customer acquisition to the actual retention. So where do some of the bigger players in the industry are actually doing quite well is to drive a lot of the revenue from the hotels, is they provide a great value experience for the consumer. So hotels need to think of that and need to understand that it's a key for them to understand the journey, to understand a user from where they first saw them or saw their product, where they were first advertised, through to actually converting the booking and sharing their feedback. So predictive analytics or analytics, it is really a bit of a science. It's applying science analysis and helping hotels and hospitality in general drive more insight, understanding better their customers, and being able to drive more innovative products and services. And this is one of the areas where hotels tend to take or have to take a little bit more interest, because it will help them drive more revenue and more innovation. So that's where we go to pricing. Obviously, you have to provide a great experience with a great product. You have to provide a great price. So there is a general recognition that pricing should be more customer-centric. Pricing should be more aware of or more influenced by market conditions and consumer behaviour. Should be more responsive and should actually be independently organised based on channel, based on room time, and based on actual consumer. So for hotels, it's important to understand who each and every one of their segments, in order to be able to price independently. And we'll hear a very interesting presentation from Adam later on to talk about a new way of revamping, say, revenue management from more of an underutilised discipline to a a discipline that's basically now taking a lot of the data that we're talking about and understanding the demand to be able to drive a pricing that is more customer-centric. And finally, it's more about treating this big data as gold mine, because it will help us understand our business better. It will help us basically focus on how to conduct our business, and it will, more than anything, will help us drive more revenue. And if we do not have the right data, we don't understand the need for the right data, it can actually work against us. I think there's a couple more slides, but I'm going to keep it very short. I'm conscious of the time. Mobile is a hot platform. Everybody puts on mobile. We have, as hoteliers, we have to start moving away from the perception of using mobile as a last-minute channel where we sell our distressed inventory. We have to have a clear strategy in terms of mobile, because it does shift a significant amount of business. We can see there how great OTs are doing in that segment, but also how a lot of the last minute business is coming through mobile. So take a look at that. And finally, within hospitality, within hotels, margins are particularly narrow, and we have to understand that an increase in RevPAR of even 6% could potentially double our profits. So we have to focus our attention towards how we can actually optimize our revenues through existing solutions and technologies that would help us reach there. And that's where we've got smart dashboards. That's really the point I'm trying to make. A smart dashboard means you're driving a lot of the technology around capturing all of this data to make it readily available within one single touch point that could help you manage and understand performance in real time across your property, across the group. It will help you understand and obviously distribute rates of inventory in real time, but also get a really good idea of what's the behaviour within the market and what's going to happen in the future. Collecting a lot of the data that's actually impacting the day-to-day operation, whether it's weather, whether it's air traffic, whether it's review data, or macroeconomic factors like prices in Greece at the moment, how it's actually impacting Bournemouth. It's a very interesting topic. And further on, basically, bringing it all into a cloud-based environment. So I'm going to stop there. Thank you very much for having me. I hope it was useful.
This is very interesting in terms of how do you maximize the economic impact and how do you collectively maximize the yield, not only for one individual property, but collectively for the destination, because ultimately it's how do you maximize the revenue that you get collectively at the destination. Any questions for Christina? Have we got any hoteliers here? Yeah? Okay. Which hotels?
A small company on the south coast called Travel Rest.
Travel Rest.
Travel Rest.
Right.
I work for Oceania Hotels in Bournemouth.
Oceania.
Cumberland and Cliffside or something.
Yeah, there are 3 or 4 hotels, no? 3, yeah.
Andrea? No?
Pardon?
Andrea?
No, he's in Rome.
Okay.
One of your customers, yeah?
He's in Rome.
Okay. Adam Smith from Duetto. Duetto is one of the very interesting companies that they merged, and I've got very high expectations from.
Hey!
Everybody in the hotel business is talking about Duetto right now.
Excellent. Brilliant introduction. Thank you very much.
Now you need to say what it does.
Yes, I will do. I will do. So thank you very much, Dimitrios, and very warm welcome to the Smart Tourism team, and thank you to you guys as well, largely for staying awake this late of time, I have to say. So. I'm sure we'll sort that out. Yeah, I'm conscious that I've got to keep the energy up a little bit now as we're going towards the end of the day, and I'll do that quite happily. I'll also try and keep this very, very short and to the point. And one of the reasons that I can do that is Christina's given me just a perfect introduction to talk about Duetto. So the first question I was going to ask is, are there any hoteliers there? So we've got that one out of the way. I want to cover what Duetto do, why we're different, and why we're making such an impact on the marketplace, and also, if we get time, who Duetto are. But I'll sort of reserve that to the very, very last one. So let's talk a little bit about what we do. But before I do that, I'm going to step back a bit. I've heard some great words this afternoon. Prosuming was one of them, which I absolutely love. Crowdsourcing, big data's come up in just about everyone's presentation. So I'm going to try and sort of weave these into my talk today. But I'm also going to introduce a new word, unicorn. And I'm going to try and get that one, a bit of audience participation as we go through this particular session. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk extensively on this main slide and then flick straight through to the meat of the technology that drives Duetto as an organisation. So I've sort of set the scene now. I've only got about 8 minutes left, so I'll get onto it. Very, very succinctly, Duetto develop and deliver, i.e. sell, software exclusively to the hotelier space, the hospitality marketplace. Now, we have a number of firsts, which is why we're seen as fairly disruptive and quite challenging in the marketplace. So we are the first organisation who brought a revenue strategy solution to the market that is driven by big data analytics. So Kaching, I've managed to get big data in already. We're also the inventor and only IPR of a technology called open pricing. Is anyone familiar with open pricing here? No. Okay, the hoteliers should, to be perfectly honest. So open pricing is a way of dynamically pricing according to demand. So trending, so historical demand, and anticipated holistic demand looking forward. This is the reason we're a big data analytics company. So we will bring inbound into our analytics solution terabytes of data in parallel and analyse it, push it into our transactional, very, very fast database which sits within Amazon Web Services, work on that data and then expel it from the transactional database. The reason we use a transactional database is it's incredibly quick. So we're operating in real time, all of the time, with massive amounts of data in order to build up a picture of a future forecast, what the demand is likely to be like for your property on a certain day, on a certain week, on a certain month. We also look out a full year ahead all of the time. So we optimise within the system 3 times a day to develop this forecast and develop our pricing off the back of that particular forecast. So 3 times a day is pretty exceptional in hotel terms. You can also optimise on demand as we go through this particular cycle. So the hotelier has complete control. So what does this do for us? Well, having an accurate picture of demand allows us to flex our prices higher, and this is speaking from a hotel perspective, to flex our prices higher against an increasing demand curve and lower our prices dynamically and automatically when there is no perceived demand in the market. So what are the 2 things that we're accomplishing? Any of the 2 hoteliers over there, what are the 2 things that we're accomplishing? I'll tell you, we're driving up occupancy on our shoulder dates when we're not very, very busy, and we're maximising ADR on our constrained dates, so on our days when we've got an awful lot of demand within the solution. So comprehensive data sets we're analysing, we're using open pricing. We also take a very detailed look at consumer behaviour on the hotel's website, on the brand.com website. So what's the reason that we want to do that? Most hoteliers that we talk to, and just again stepping back, we deal with very, very small boutique single properties up to massive 300 and 400 chain properties. And we can provide a benefit in terms of increased ADR and increased occupancy across the whole range. But this particular facet about looking at consumer behaviour on the website allows us to see what demand could have been like if we'd have had inventory. So if we were 3 times as big as a property, where we could be at that point in time, at that date, before that inventory actually perishes. Now, there are another couple of USPs that I want to talk about. Christine mentioned one of them, which was management by exception. So this is where there is some similarity between eRevMax and Duetto. So, I just completely forgot what I was saying there. Managing by exception. So one of the key points of Duetto is, without a Duetto solution, you're touching lots and lots of different data sources in order to develop this picture of demand. With Duetto, Remind me again where I am? Managed by exception. With Duetto, we integrate with all of the data sets within the portfolio. So this would be the property management system, the CRS, the customer reservation system, potentially your business intelligence tools, potentially weather patterns or patterns of weather, potentially information that's coming in from air traffic. And we can sort of build up a much better picture by dragging all this data and analysing it into Duetto of what the revenue management function needs to do on a day-to-day basis. So no longer do you have to go and find the data to action. The data will come to you and tell you that it needs action in. So it's a completely different way of working. So rather than going out, everything's coming to us. And we're doing this management by exception. I'm just going to flick through about 20 slides now, so you just have to bear with me. This would have been a great presentation about the state of the market, the landscape, including the OTA channels, the value shift, the new players that are coming into the marketplace, the Googles, the Apples, and the impacts that they will have. But I've timed this. It takes me about 45 minutes to get through this one, so I'm going to flick straight through.
Bring you back.
Yes, please do, Dimitrios. So, what the issues are within the OTA space, TripAdvisor at this point in time. So, revenues are being driven upwards by the OTAs, but commissions are also increasing. By the way, I can give anybody this presentation. I can leave this behind.
That's why we need fair booking.
Yeah, absolutely. What the battle looks like. So, income's staying fairly stable at the OTA space, but commissions skyrocketing. And of course, in a world that's governed by revenue parity, that profit gets swallowed by the hotelier. So again, there's another drive and dynamic for the hotelier to try and drag or acquire as much business through their own brand.com rather than through the channel. And I'm not knocking the OTA channel at this point in time. They bring great value to the business, specifically in terms of cost, choice and availability. So, there is a lot of absolute positives for working with the distribution channel. Some of the comments from Christina's talk were that there's not much familiarisation with the OTA space. So again, I don't need to focus too much on it. Moving forward, so these are the suggestions that I have when I'm doing this full-length presentation about what hoteliers should consider to become a game changer in this environment. So game changer is another word that we've heard bandied around. It's particularly close to my heart because game changer is the name of our product set. So we're so confident that we make this difference in the market, we've named our product the Game Changer. So we're basically saying, as a hotelier, keep an open mind, look at what is emerging on the market, and look at how new technology and new data sets can benefit your operation moving forward. Utilise those new data sets. Now that will mean moving to a large-scale data analytical platform like Duetto. Or it could mean moving to Duetto, seeing as we're the only one on the market at this point in time. Create a culture of collaboration is particularly important for us. So we don't license Game Changer on a per-user basis. We license Game Changer on a how many rooms have you got, Mr. Hotel or Mr. Hotel chain. And we then license according to the functionality that you need within the platform.
So what is the data that you take as input? I'm
going to come on to that, Dimitrios, it's actually in the next slide. I just wanted to cover this one off. So where we're really different is that we provide access into our solution from everybody who's got a vested interest. Now that could be the revenue management team, that could be the front desk manager, that will be the general manager in the environment. But it's also the money people who are behind the operation. So the investors, the asset managers, the property managers, they all can have access into this unified, homogenised view of the state of the union for the hotel or for the hotel chain. And most importantly, understand who your customers are and have the ability to reach out to those customers. Find out which of them are high net worth individuals, which of those pay your bills as a business, and make sure that you attract those. So complimentary deals, upgrades, potentially to those customers. But you've got to understand who they are. I'm moving straight over this. We've talked a little bit about this. So now let's talk about the data that we're bringing into this particular system. Now, there are some traditional revenue management platforms that are out there, completely different to Duetto. Now, they will tend to take two very common pieces of information into their analysis. One of them is reservations, blocks, bookings from the PMS, from the property management system. Now, they'll tend to sort of take snapshots of that PMS data and bring it into their particular environment. We work with the PMS, but we work with a robust two-way, we refer to it as an OXI interface. So it's a web services API that works in real time, that allows us to connect to the hotel's property management system and pull out information as it changes. So if there's a block or a booking in the PMS, if it's just been upgraded, we will pull that out in real time and it will find its way into Duetto to be analysed. The other place that traditional revenue practices will look at, and these are even if you're manually running your revenue management process, will generally be, this is a lower right-hand element, competitive pricing, the comp set. So this is information about what your competitors are doing. So they may have the same type of property, a similar type of room type that they're advertising. You may be competing with them in your particular market. So you tend to bring this data into revenue management and analyse it. Again, we do this, but we do it differently because it's in real time. So do you use a rate shopper, either of you guys? Do you use a rate gain? Do you use a rate shopper? A rate gain, I'm trying to think of this power, a QL2. You don't bring competitive information into your environment?
No, we just tend to, we have a revenue management team that go out and seek that information.
Right, so there is often an arcane science behind this, so you're relying on the skills of the people that are working within the organisation. We don't intend to replace that, but we sort of supplement that to allow those same people to become much more strategic and much more profit-focused. Because the goal of Duetto, as Game Changers as a solution, is to drive revenue, so drive your average daily rate up exponentially, but most importantly, do it with profit in mind all of the time. So look at the other places that we're sampling data and doing it in real time. As we engage with customers, we go through this and we ask them how important these pieces of data are. So, Mr. Customer with your Bayesian beach resort, is weather important to you? And the answers I've had back are, weather is really important in the destination location. So if it's Barbados, it's important for the consumer to know that it's going to be sunny when they're going on holiday. But also weather in the destination market, so if it's London, has a really profound effect on booking patterns as well. So if it's pouring with rain or snowing in London, more people will book to Barbados if they know it's sunny in Barbados.
But you take data 5 days out, or how long does weather?
We will take data as far out as the provider will give it to us. So one became the company doing about 14 or 15 days for us. It gets very flaky.
So you will suggest that prices are changed based on...
We give the hotelier the option to tell us how important they think that data is as we go through implementation. One of the other key differences with this is we wrap our customer success team around the hotel, so we never leave you alone and we work with you. So we're constantly refining this. So if 6 months down the line you said, no, weather is unimportant to us whatsoever, and then 6 months down the line you say, well, maybe we want to consider that, we can start switching on that functionality in the system. So I'm conscious of time, so I'm going to go very, very quickly around this. Reviews and social media. We've talked about this at some length this afternoon. Some hoteliers believe that they live or die by their reviews. So whether you use Review Pro, Revinate, anybody else out there on the market, we can pull that into our forecast algorithm and our pricing algorithm in real time in order to build this picture of demand that we're so keen to do. Macroeconomic data. Anyone heard of STR, Smith Travel Research? Yeah. I expected everyone here to say yes. It was everyone else down there. So STR provides market information, so where you sit amongst your competition, etc., etc. We pull that in again in real time into the solution, and we use it to measure you and measure your growth moving forward. One of our key investors, a guy called Lee Pillsbury, has a quote that I'm very, very fond of using, so I'm going to use it right now. So with the Duetto solution, 6 months after implementation, with a data feed from STR or MKG or any of the other providers that are out there, you will realise a 5 to 15% RevPAR index growth. 5 to 15% RevPAR index growth, 50 to 300% gross profit. It's a compelling saving. So this is the messaging that Lee is taking around the investor community globally. And it's one of the reasons why we're charging ahead in terms of business and business acquisition in all of the regions that we're operating. So we're now a just over 100 strong company, so we're not very, very big, but we're operating in 3 different regions covering the whole of the globe. We've got support services that are running 24/7. In the EMEA region, so we're based out of London, we've captured in excess of 1,000 properties since October last year. So this is some growth we're experiencing as an organisation. So anyway, air travel, web shopping. And web shopping is actually the most important one. I'm actually over time by a bit, but I'm still going to go onto this particular slide, just very, very quickly, because this is important. So most times through the PMS, a hotelier can understand who's made a booking. That's it. That's all they can see. Now the OTA is slightly different. The OTA has much better technology at their disposal. And they can see who's tried to book but hasn't booked, who's tried to book but we've declined that booking. So, and this is all to do with the systems that hoteliers use. We upload a very small Java tag onto your brand.com booking site. And that allows us, I don't like to use the word sniff, but I can't think of another complementary word. It allows us to sense who is active on your website permanently. So it obviously shows us who's making a booking, which we track immediately, but it's showing also who's been on your website, who has opened up inventory, who's looked at a particular product, a particular room type, but hasn't booked it. And we call that a regret. So we mark that down as a regret, and we track that back to the source IP address, and then anonymise all that information within Duetto. So we know where that customer came from and what their behaviour was. We also track what we call denials. So exactly the same thing, a customer, if consumer goes onto the website, opens up inventory, looks at the product, but your system, because you've closed out inventory, you've closed out room rate, won't allow them to make a booking. Now these two bits of information, with the pure play booking information, gives us a real holistic view of demand in the marketplace. And this is a key part of how we drive our forward-looking forecast, which we then compare with our traditional stats that are coming out of the PMS, who has booked, when they booked, how long they booked for, etc., etc. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to stop at that point in time. I've gone about 6 or 7 minutes over time. I would love to have an opportunity to talk in greater depth about this, Dimitrios. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is fascinating, especially when you go to hotels around the world. And they've got the winter, they've got 3 prices. The winter price, the summer price. This is really, really fascinating. I think we'll talk again in more detail in a different format. Some of my hospitality colleagues as well. Now, we're going to 2 final presentations that we're cutting out into fascinating new technologies that they've got a major impact. Adam Torman from Fusion Wi-Fi. I understand that Fusion Wi-Fi is rolling out Wi-Fi for Bournemouth.
Yep.
And you're going to tell us all about it.
I am. Ooh, it's playing. Don't play. There we go. Right. This is me. I'm the MD of Fusion Wi-Fi and the brain, if you like, behind it. Frustrated Wi-Fi user, this is where the idea came from. This is on autoplay, it's annoying. Okay, so Bournemouth Gardens, circa 1920. Looks quite boring. I imagine it's primary locals there.
Boats are lovely. We should bring the boats back.
Yeah, I prefer iPhones. Clearly, no technology. You can imagine that's primarily locals there. Again, no infrastructure, no communication. 1931, the Bournemouth Bell. This was a direct train from London, introduced in 1931, and it took 2 hours and 1 minute to get from London to Bournemouth. It still takes 2 hours and 1 minute to get from London to Bournemouth. This obviously brought more tourists, more awareness to the town, more word of mouth. Bournemouth in 1972, further infrastructure, this is Pier Approach. I think this is obviously the build of the flyover, where they took away the motor cars. That's what it looks like now. It's obviously an artist impression.
It's a very nice impression.
It is. It's a good job. I ran through those fountains there with my laptop and just about survived. So in 2013, Taiwan introduced free Wi-Fi. To get online, you had to take your passport to an airport or tourist office in order to get on the internet. Not very user-friendly and certainly not very smart. I go forward, hang on. So, August 2014, we introduced what we believe to be the world's fastest free Wi-Fi onto Bournemouth Beach. Without going too far into tech, we've got 8,000 meg of bandwidth down to the seafront. We contacted Guinness World Records. They wouldn't verify the record due to how hard it is to measure, but we welcome the challenge to beat it. This is what our platform looks like. So it's self-service, it's smart. There's no asking for passwords. You log in using social media. Most people are generally going through Facebook because logically it's the most popular platform. This was last Saturday on Bournemouth Beach. Tourism's working, clearly. And we actually saw the busiest day ever on our Wi-Fi platform. We went live just before the Air Festival last year, and this day, last Saturday, we saw 1,047 users hit the Wi-Fi. Not many people know it's there, so actually that's quite a cool moment for us. This is what our platform looks like. So people log in using social media. Obviously, people put their lives on the internet. There's kind of no hiding from there. If you don't want it, don't do it. This is the top left. This is the number of people that have used the Wi-Fi since it went in last year. So 88,000 people. We have seen 5,500 people in the last 30 days as new visitors and new users to that Wi-Fi platform in the town. You can see Facebook, again, is the most popular, followed by Google and the basic data collection. So because we collect data from people's Facebook profiles, we get to learn where they're from. So if you look on your own Facebook page, it will say where you're born and where you live. My personal one says I was born in Walsall in the West Midlands, but I happen to live in Bournemouth. So 395 unique towns and cities from across the globe, according to people's Facebook pages, have logged into the Wi-Fi in Bournemouth. Pretty impressive, really, considering that beforehand we'd never know who these people were and where they were coming from. 35 different languages. Obviously, this opens up opportunity for wayfinding, signs at airports. Having been to Dubai recently, the wayfinding there is so important in the airports. They want you in and out as quickly as possible. Multilingual signs, extremely important. So these are the users. You can see the chart goes all the way up to 100. I actually filtered those users down and looked, and it wasn't genuine information. It was people obviously putting random numbers in the Facebook profiles. But you can see generally it's the millennials that are using the Wi-Fi platform. No major surprise there. I think the youngest person was 13, and you can see it goes up to around the 40-year-old bracket and then starts to slow down. People in the 70s and 80s do use the Wi-Fi. We've ran this in various different places, one of them being the coffee shop in the Isle of Line as our first trial, and we saw an 85-year-old that logged in. We didn't believe it, but they've got Facebook accounts. So this obviously gives us a good idea of who the people are and what the sort of target is. These are the guys with the money, they're the ones with the smartphones, they're the ones that are going to lie on the beach, stream Top Gear, buy ice creams, buy more drinks, pay for more parking. So 35 different languages, 395 global towns and cities, users aged 13 to 80. Pretty broad spread, really, as a tourist destination. So what's this enable? John touched on these signs earlier. Now, I'm a big fan of this app, Google Translate. Now, if you don't speak English, you can download the Google Translate app, wave it over a sign, and it will translate it for you in real time. I think that's pretty cool. That's one way of saving money by putting 35 different languages on one side. It's obviously not feasible. Postcards, dead and buried. It's the selfie. It saves postage, it saves time, it's instant. You know, this is people Skyping their friends, Snapchatting. These are people around the world getting back in touch with their friends and family. You know, having travelled a little bit recently, one of the biggest bugbears is data charges. Say Dubai, it was £13 per megabyte of data. Absolutely ridiculous. Now, we do see a lot of opportunities using this because it's far too expensive to run a mobile phone. Again, it's the perfect case for free Wi-Fi. Smart parking, again, Dubai Mall. Now, I don't know how many of you drive, but one of my major frustrations is thinking there's a parking space and pulling up to recline a smart car or a motorbike parking right at the back of the space. These things, we've got laser, yeah. So those things are little LEDs that sense when there's a car in the bay. So if you drive down, all these will be red where there's parking, and when there's an empty space, it goes green. So imagine an app. You're in the town, you're a visitor, you download the Bournemouth app, it tells you where the parking spaces are, it tells you which one has the free parking spaces, which floor you should drive to, and which zone of the car park to find that space. And of course, you go back to the beach, you enjoy yourself, you connect onto the Wi-Fi again, and you think, shit, where was my car? I know, I'll use the app to track myself back to my car again. Traffic, Air Festival, we know it's a common problem. So imagine you visited from London, you've logged into the Wi-Fi on Bournemouth Beach, and you want to go home. You pop up Google Maps, and it tells you there's an hour's congestion just to leave the town. Our system could send you an email and say, hi, don't bother, go get a coffee. Give it an hour, then hit the traffic, the roads are clear, your journey time will halve. And the last slide, our Wi-Fi platform in the town, we've actually developed this for bars, restaurants and hotels. The Bournemouth Wi-Fi thing for us was obviously just another gem being local. So because we capture this data, we can be more intelligent. So obviously TripAdvisor seems to be the subject of the day. If you're Swedish and you log into the Wi-Fi, we've got the power to actually convert the landing page or the advert page into your local language. So if you're looking for a restaurant, if you're down by Pier Approach and you fancy getting a burger or fish and chips from Aruba, and you want to read the reviews, or you want to read the information about the restaurant, and you don't speak English, boom, perfect, completely done automatically. And I think that's my last slide.
Who pays what?
Who pays you?
Who pays me? Advertisers. So,
Advertisers.
obviously our main source of income is the model we sell to bars and restaurants. This at the moment...
so can you explore on this?
Yeah, so that's what I showed you. The idea is bar or restaurant, people visit you, it allows you to get analytics. So you get to capture their name, their birthday, their email address. So 5 days before your birthday, Aruba could send you an email saying, hi, we know it's your birthday next week, come and get 25% off your meal. Or you could visit a hotel 5 days later and get an email saying, hi, here's a link to our TripAdvisor page, or here's a link to our Facebook page, and you put the review on it.
And you're sending that by email?
The system will send it automatically. So if you go to one of these venues, you use the Wi-Fi, obviously you get on nice and simply and quickly. The system can then, whatever it's programmed to do, send you an email 5 days later or 24 hours later to say, hi, thanks for visiting, pop back for breakfast tomorrow. It's just a way of getting these known customers, the friendly faces, back in the door.
So you're giving, people are paying you by data and companies are paying you money to get this data?
So the companies will pay us a fixed fee per month just to have the platform and the data's theirs.
Okay.
What about this data compliance?
So when you log in through the social channels, Facebook is probably the best example. You're in control of what happens. So if you log into our free Wi-Fi, Facebook will say you're about to hand this information to Fusion Wi-Fi. Are you happy to continue? So we're the data controller. Under our terms and conditions, we license it to the venue owner to use for marketing, and that's where it stops.
You don't think it very easy to change them?
To what, sorry?
Change.
Change?
Yeah. I just logged into the via Facebook.
Okay.
I decided I didn't want to do that anymore. I wanted to use a different platform. They didn't want to let me.
If you'd left it 2 minutes and tried again.
Oh, I did.
Okay, that's interesting.
I just removed it.
Okay, I'll have a look at that. Good feedback.
Yeah. I mean, occasionally, how many people have used the system? Okay, does it work? Yeah? And are you happy to give your social media data?
No.
That's
why I changed it. We have a different system where we log on using Facebook, and I had to stop using Facebook because people didn't want to, so we had to introduce a code the traditional way because people just didn't want to reply. So we now capture the data differently, but not through using the network.
It's certainly based on
the other point,
generation.
Dimitrios, was I mentioned my Perfect New Forest Day. That's what we were doing about 4 years ago, and people don't want to do it.
Yeah.
For the reasons that the chap said no.
I think what's happening now is that your mobile phone and your Facebook know you so well. They know you better than your mother.
Yeah. Better than
they
yourself.
know absolutely everything about you.
Yeah. Better than yourself, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, in answer to
obviously that point, we generally see is the younger generation. We've got this in a lot of nightclubs around the world, and I've watched people just press the buttons and log in.
I do that as well. It was a good idea to take their clothes off and photograph themselves 2 years ago.
Not on my Wi-Fi though.
Yeah.
But I do that as well. Not that I like it, but I'm desperate to get connected, so I'll do anything. I'm a junkie.
As far as logging goes, if you don't use social media on the Wi-Fi network in the town, especially, one of the requisites was that if you don't use social media, all we're asking for is your name and your email address. And
that's smart.
In the security of today, I think it's fair that we obviously need to know something about who is using the network. Obviously, we block all the adult content and all that sort of stuff, but there does need to be a level of accountability these days, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay.
You mentioned that you...
Would you like to say who you are and where you come from?
Okay, I'm Colonel. I'm studying lecturing in business school. And my question is, this is what I'm doing about two-sided marketing. So you get money from advertiser. So my question is there any more business opportunity besides advertiser? Could you link with some to share like booking restaurant, booking room with your platform?
Yeah, absolutely. We say the data side of it, we have to be extremely protective over. I mean, as far as we look at this, I have, restaurants contact me and say, "Oh, can I have the information from the steakhouse down the road?" No, of course not, because then if we start sharing information with competitors, we lose business. But as far as the public platform goes, absolutely. We sent some information to council recently for a happy event they're looking to do. I took out the sensitive info. I took away the names, the email addresses, but I can tell you what people's favourite athletes are. I can tell you when they were born, where they live, what language they speak, what their shoe size is. So this sort of stuff, as a company, we're really open to look at new developments. For us, our business is providing Wi-Fi. Now, if someone can come up with more integrations to make these things better, absolutely, all it is.
So maybe your future competitor will be TripAdvisor because you have more advanced on connecting people. TripAdvisor have to based on their network.
Yes.
Maybe your platform will be more integrated with a lot of inventors.
So yeah, that's my exit strategy. That's
the other point about a revenue opportunity is the integration of complementary products and the working together. The real story here is that this is technology, but businesses need to work together.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've got a last question, Adam. How do you deal with the ever-expanding need for capacity? I mean, in a lot of the hotels I've been working with is, we provide free Wi-Fi and then it goes out of control, and then what happens is that, of course, everything's blocked.
Yeah.
And then, but it's ever expanding and never...
So your two key factors, the speed of the internet and essentially the number of these wireless boxes. So this room, there's 4 boxes, they'll look after 100 to 200 people.
Sure.
So most hotels that come to us, they say, "Oh, we want this platform," but the problem is they've got 7, 8-year-old wireless boxes in the hotel,
right,
which will only support, the oldest iPhone, or they won't support 20, 30 users. So from the stuff we do, we've got ways of managing that bandwidth. So for instance, if people are sat in the hotel room streaming YouTube or Netflix, we can say, well, actually, they're being selfish. We can lower the amount of bandwidth they get, and we can prioritise, say, a void for a Skype call.
Right.
So there's ways to do it, but unfortunately, one way or another, people have to put their hands in their pockets eventually.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the last presentation for the day is from Giovanni Landry, who is going to talk about augmented reality for cultural caregivers. This is a very interesting area, and those of you who know me, they know that I'm really interested in augmented reality, and I think that's going to take us on a totally different interface of how we experience destination.
Thank you. I hope you find this speak a bit relaxing, because it's something completely different. I'm Giovanni Landi. I work for IFITT. We are an Italian creative industry. We mainly work with museums, designing interactive installations but also designing and developing entire museums and exhibitions, implementing a lot of interactivity inside those spaces. We like to describe ourselves as knowledge integrators because our skills range from the architectural design to interaction design to content creation. What I will be presenting today are two use cases that are quite representative of our approach. We tend to use many different techniques to make the visitors forget about technology and immerse inside the user experience. And it has been really educational for us to deal with different communities with different needs, and I'm sure you will find some links between what we talked about this afternoon and what I will show you. The topics of my speak will be two use cases of augmented reality applied to two different scenarios: the cultural heritage conservation and cultural heritage valorization and development of an application for visitors. So the first case history is about a statue of Leonardo da Vinci that you can find in Milan. It's a marble statue from the 19th century that went through a massive restoration process. And we tried to help the restorers to design and develop a tool that could help them to receive all the information that they collect during their surveys and that they need to share between different teams of restorers in a really intuitive and transparent user experience. During their surveys, restorers collect a lot of data, mainly multispectral imagery, that can, through 3D reconstruction technique, can be useful to make some really high definition 3D models that they can use for different analysis of the piece of art. So, in the first surveys, the statue was a lot of pictures were taken at different heights of the statue, together with other laser measurements, and this allowed to reconstruct a really detailed 3D model of the statue. We use this 3D model to feed what we call a 3D tracking SDK, a 3D tracking system that we use to build an application that can not only recognize images, but they can also recognize entire three-dimensional geometries. Think about a facade or a statue. So, with the needs of the restorers in mind, we help them to have a tool that allows them to work in teams, so that you can have all the information localized on the statue. For example, one team could be interested in having X-rays about a particular region of the statue. Another team could be interested in having the infrared imagery about the same region. And having this data on the same application helped a lot the restorers. But now let's talk about how we successfully transferred this kind of user experience design to the visitor market. And doing this, we were able to valorize data sets that were collected during another phase of the life of a piece of art, like multispectral imagery collected for diagnostic purposes, and push them inside a visitor user experience and giving scientific consistency to this user experience. So, I will talk about the Galleria dell'Accademia in Venezia. It's one of the most famous museums in Italy. the Vitruvian Man from Leonardo da Vinci is there. And thanks to our partnership with Samsung, there is another great example of how private corporation can help small companies like us that are in touch with the local market to valorize and invent together new business models. Thanks to a big investment from Samsung Italia, we were able to open 3 new rooms of the museum and show to the public many paintings that were actually stored in the underground, and they were not visible to the public. Suddenly, like it happens with many minor, I don't want to say minor, but you know, in these rooms you had minor pieces of art, and we had to use technology to valorize them and to make them of some kind of interest to the public. And that happens in many different scenarios. So we developed an application that, together with an indoor navigation system based on technology that everybody of you may know, based on iBeacons, features some really playful augmented reality sections. These sections were somehow a downscaling of what we designed for the restorers, because we were able to build some augmented reality experiences that allowed the public to browse multispectral imagery in a really playful way by pointing at a painting and then scratching on the screen to unveil details of the piece of art that were maybe only visible in X-ray. There was a portrait in this room that, in which the artist tried to paint the same face at many different angles, and all these tries are visible in X-ray. So you gain interest toward a painting that would be really unlucky compared to other major pieces of art there. And this allowed us to make to manage the flows inside the rooms by designing some gamified user experience. Another feature that this application offers to the public is the possibility, by pointing to a painting, to have localized highlights, because painting on painting is interesting and unique, not for the subject that could be really classic, but maybe because it's the only one in which you have this really small detail painted in that way. And so we were able to put all this content that it's only in art history books, and it doesn't arrive to tourist guide because of but it was ideal for this kind of user experience. And another playful AR application is a treasure hunt. It was designed for kids, and it offered the possibility by the users were given a small enigma, a question, and they had to look for the right painting among all the ones that they could find in the room to spot the right one, in which to find the answer to the question. And now I'll show you a small video of the application working. So this is the treasure hunt. As you can see, this is the question, and pointing at the wrong painting, you get a try again sign. The image recognition is really intuitive and it's really rapid. And once you spotted the right painting, you win. This is the multispectral section. You can see that this painting was heavily modified during restoration, and these are the X-ray underlying layers. And these are the localized highlights that give information about certain parts of the painting. So, the public really like it. I will be happy to answer to all the questions that you may have. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Augmented reality is brilliant for interpretation and creating experiences. And in particular, I see that it's going to take a whole range of different agendas by narrating visitors in different things. For example, when you arrive in a museum, say, how long have you got in this museum? How long have you got to spend in the British Museum? Would you like to do 3 hours, or do you like to do 8 hours? And I'm going to take you into different things. How old are you? What language do you speak? How have you been here before? You know, some filtering questions, and then narrating you through the experience. Questions? Would you like to say who you are, where you're from, and what can you do with?
Yeah. Okay, I have a question for you. The technological advancements in museum in particular help to enhance the experience, like you explained, like all those extra features. Recently, there has also been such a concept as a blended space, where technology is used with the experience to create something new, not to enhance something which exists, but particularly historic museums, it helps to sort of emerge into a specific period of time. So it's not an experience digitally enhanced, it's a new experience, which is impossible to experience otherwise. Do you have any examples of that, where the experience is not enhanced, but created from scratch, so to speak?
Yes, we in the last years we worked a lot with museums containing art, but we also worked with science museum, for example, in which you had these pavilions, for example, in which the theme was the exploration of space, and the actual material that you had inside the museum was not so consistent. So we had to design a whole experience, educating the public toward particular aspects. But the case is even more strong when you work with brands. In Italy, we work a lot. We had some experiences in designing brand museums, in which the brand is already known, and you have to create experience around what I don't know. For example, a beer brand. You can't put beer in a museum, but you have to invent and design a lot of funny experiences, valorizing the technology that you're able to manage. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah.
And we made an interactive showroom for Samsung that it was completely built from scratch. It's the house of the future.
Oh. Did you say beer?
Yes, I said.
I'm very good at timekeeping, but I would like to come along and say a word from IFITT. I think we've managed an incredible number of speakers and a very interesting program just on time, and I'm trying to make sure that we're out of here by 6:30 so we can have a beer or a glass of wine and a cocktail in the retreat. Barbara is going to say the official word of IFITT, and we have a picture of this. That's important because I would like to thank John as well for sponsoring the coffee. And IFITT is sponsoring the cocktails and whatever drinks they're going to give us.
Thank you, Dimitrios. So just a couple of words because I'm very time conscious and we are really all looking forward to the cocktail and the evening reception in a bit. As you have seen in the beginning at the introduction, this workshop or event today is co-sponsored by two main companies. So it's Bournemouth Tourism on the one hand side, and then it's also sponsored by IFITT, the International Federation of IT for Travel and Tourism. And this has actually been not just a festival of learning event, but it has also been the very first edition of IFITTtalk. And we are live streaming, so it's a really great honor here to host the very first IFITTtalk in Bournemouth. And IFITT has kindly agreed to sponsor the whole event in a sense, but especially the evening reception. So we will have a proper aperitif with some nice drinks in a bit. And before that, I would just like to say what IFITT does. So IFITT is essentially the world's leading and biggest community when it comes to eTourism, so the understanding of IT for travel and tourism. We are a community of academics, but also industry professionals, destinations, and DMOs, and we're linking them together, and it's about knowledge exchange, it's about bringing people working in the field of eTourism together on a global basis. We have our annual event, which is the ENDA conference. I'm sure you know. So the next one will be hosted 2016 in January or February in Bilbao in Spain. So if you're interested in eTourism, this is really one of the biggest, world's biggest conferences, so feel free to join. And we have you here.
Thank you very much. Let's continue the conversation on the retreat. We're going to have something to drink, something to eat, and we're going to have some. Oh, my son was okay, so go ahead. Okay, let's go for a drink. Thank you very much. Before we go around, I'd like to thank John for co-chairing this. I'd like to thank all our speakers, and I also like to thank my heroes. Who are my heroes? My good helpers here with my students who have done a fantastic job in helping us out. Let's go to the retreat and we're going to have a drink there. Right.